Hello, good morning. Oh, wrong tone of voice there. Hello, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. It's Saturday, it's the Premier League's back. Manchester United are playing Leicester in just a few short hours. Have you sorted your fancy football out? Talking of which, got a fantastic new game for you to get involved if you so wish. But the game time is here. But I want to talk about transfer news this morning because it's really important. Jose Mourinho running out of time, potentially losing patience, wants one more, happy to settle with what he's got, but it's not really what he wants. Lots of conflicting stories, as it has been all summer. And I think it's important to, well, just put yourself in this mindset, Mourinho mindset of you wanted 4 players over the summer. You've started the season really well with, you know, all your rivals have dropped points. You've got maximum points. You've got 8 goals, nothing conceded. Everything's fantastic. But Mourinho is a realist, and he will know that this is unrealistic. This start to the season will not continue. In as little as 1 month's time, maybe 2 months' time, we might have lost a couple of games, we might have drawn a couple of games, and he might look back and go, that last week I had of August, I really should have pushed for a signing because I now miss that player that I wanted to get. We know the player that he wants. It's either a left back because he's got concerns about Luke Shaw, or it's a left winger so that they can put the crosses into the box. We know it was Perisic. I'm not saying the name again. We know it was him. It's looking, I still think it can happen, but a lot of people don't. So what does he do? Does he go, well, I couldn't get the player I wanted, I'm just going to go with what I've got? Or does he have backups, irons in the fire, other options, and does he push it for them over the next week? I personally think Manchester United versus Leicester this afternoon will make his mind up. Bank holiday weekends, especially the August one, is always a big one for the transfer windows. You get the games done by Sunday, then you've got bank holiday Monday, and then you've got 3 short days until the end of the transfer window. There's going to be a lot of business done. It's whether Manchester United and Mourinho decide to jump in on that business. Personally, I don't know what you lot think, I would do it. I bet I would hurry up. I mean, I would do it. I would definitely do it. Sorry, the live chat's frozen. That's my fault. I'll get it up and running. I don't know why it froze. It doesn't normally do that from the start. Mark Short says it's a right back that we need. Well, yeah, it would. A right back would be nice. In terms of Aurier would have been good. Fabinho would be good. Don't count them out. Don't count out the fact that we could do 2 signings in this next week. I think a lot of you are probably leaning towards none. But I think Mourinho will look at the game today and he will look at it in a sense that, yes, we've got to win it. And I've said all week, we will beat Leicester. Whether we beat them 4-0 or whether we beat them 1-0, if I'm totally honest with you, looking at the long season ahead, I hope we scrape it 1-0 with a last-minute goal from Martial, and there's a little bit of panic. And the reason I say that is we will get 3 points today. We need to get 3 points today. But I'd rather a few things go wrong now rather than in September when we can't do anything about it. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. I think we'll roller coaster over them. I think it will be 4 or 5-0. I really do. I think we'll blast them today. But it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if we struggled and it highlighted the areas where we need this player, i.e. a winger, and then that forces Mourinho to sort of say tonight, look, Woodward, stop messing around with new contracts for players we've currently got. I wanted 4 players. You're giving me 3. Go out and get me a winger. You've got a week to go. Oxlade-Chamberlain wants to move. Felipe Anderson would move. Draxler probably would move. Lamar would move. Go and get me one of those players. I know I wanted Perisic. If I can't get him, go and get me one of those because I need somebody to put a cross into the box. As I said last night, you can't start a fire without a spark. And when it comes to crosses into the box, we don't have anybody. Corners are different because everyone's up for a corner. But actually hitting teams on the break down the width, putting a cross into the box naturally. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he's not particularly quick anyway, Mata. But if we make a break down the right-hand side and Mata's there ahead of him, and he's got Lukaku running towards the penalty spot, and all he's got to do is naturally put a right-wing cross in, right-footed cross in, he can't. He's got to come back on his left, momentum lost, and curl it the other way, which is a striker. You want it coming onto your head. Boom. A Mata cross is going to be coming over your head. You're going to have to try and flick it in. It's so obvious that we need... And same from the left-hand side. Totally agree with you with the left-hand side. Martial will always try and come on his right, as will Rashford. We need somebody who can put a cross in. I think we've got to do it in the next week. I'm very passionate about it. I know a lot of you feel that, oh yeah, let's stay as we are. But I'm really passionate about it because We can win the league this year, and I don't want to be Christmas time going, remember what we were talking about in the last week of the transfer window. We just needed to go and get a winger and add to what was a good start to the season. We literally have nobody in the squad who can do it. We've got nobody in the team who can consistently whip a decent crossing. As I've said before, Daley Blind, possibly. Luke Shaw, if he can get back from fitness. But there are players out there, that, and the fact that Mourinho has highlighted it so many times is a frustration. But we'll have to wait and see. George Kyle says the best crosses are the in-swinging ones. George, I think that's totally wrong. I don't know what level of football you've played or watched, but you've forced me to do this, George. And I'll happily do it, but there is no way that... Ooh, this is George's fault. There's no way that cross like that is better than that cross like that. I've played as a centre-back. There is just no way that cross or that cross is better than that cross. It's not, because the defenders are facing their own goal if that cross is done properly, as is the forward to just head it home. If it's coming in that way, the defenders are facing the cross and they head it out. No way. You know, I'm all for fan opinion, but there are some things that are just factual, and there is no way an in-swinging cross is better than a natural cross. It's just not true. I can't say anything else. Jake Cattersby says, I love your content and your predictions for today, Mark. I've just, you know what, I've just had I was a little bit late this morning because I've just been quite busy doing my Predictor League on Super Brew for anyone who's on that. I've done those. So I've gone for, well, I'll go through that with you in a minute. I've just done my Fantasy Premier League. And I've just done my Telegraph League, which I'm not going to tell people about because the Telegraph one is getting quite competitive in the fantasy in the United Stand era. However, what I can do is you've just reminded me of something else. I'm really excited about this, really excited about it, and really great that we've got this little link up with Fantasy Totes. The link is in the video description. We did one of these towards the end of last year. I really enjoy fantasy football, and I like a little bet on the football as well. So when we were approached by Fantasy Tote, who are basically a fantasy football game where you can sort of bet on it, we've spoken about it over the week and really excited about this because they've got a number of game modes. So they are brand new as well, which means that there's not a load of people in each game mode. So we've picked one for today. So you sign up, link in the video description. The one I'm going to play today and the pot you can get involved. Well, you can get involved in any pot you want, but I like five-a-side. So you select Manchester United versus Leicester if that's the one you want to go for, and then what you've got to do is you pick your five-a-side side. So up front, probably I'm going to go Lukaku. My midfield has to be Mkhitaryan and Pogba, but then it gets interesting because you can only have 3 players from one of those teams. So I'm forced into, and to be honest, it probably makes a little bit of sense anyway, but I'm forced into going for Leicester players. So I'm going to go Maguire there, and I'm going to have to go Schmeichel there. My thought process being is United are probably going to score a lot of goals, and Leicester defensively are probably their players that are going to shine. I've got a selector captain as well. For me, it's got to be one of those 3. So I'm going to go Lukaku. And then you can bet any amount you want. You can bet a couple of dollars, a couple of quid or whatever like that. But what happens is, so bet now, and you go into the Manchester United versus Leicester five-a-side league. The person who scores the most points from their collective players will win that pot. So if we had 10 players in there who all put 2 quid in each, we'd have a pot of 20 quid, and the person who comes out on the top would win 20 quid from a 2 quid input. Obviously, if 2 people get the same score, it gets split a tenner each. So that's how it works. They've got other game modes as well. The Dream Team one is a little bit more, you know, a bit like Fantasy Premier League. You pick a whole team. It works same motto, whole team encapsulating all Premier League fixtures. You've also got Star Club, which is quite good as well. You can actually just bet on what club will score the most Fantasy Premier League points, and also Star Player. You can bet on one player, and it works very much the same way. Let me just go to the frequently asked questions for you, because there's a few people asking there. So there's all your frequently asked questions, but effectively There is a little bit of a twist around how much you put into the pot, because a good question somebody just asked there, how does the pool system work? So if you were somebody who put £10 into the pot and then somebody else only puts £2 into the pot, then it would be unfair that they split the pot with you. So it's done based on the fact that if the pot's got, say, 100 quid in it, two of you win, you put a tenner in at the start and the other winner put 2 quid in at the start, you will get 5 times the pot. So you would end up getting about 80 quid and they'd get 20 quid for that £2 thing. So the bigger amount you put in the pot, the more share of the pot you get. But yeah, really excited to do that. Do get involved, do give us a game. I'm going to do 5. I might have a go on top player as well for the week, but that's, you know, Alonso won it last week, so it's very hard to predict that. And I may well also have a game at the 11 players, but I'm definitely going to have a go on the 5-a-side one. Link in the video description. I love fantasy football, I love a little bet, and there's a bit of skill to that as well, so don't have to rely on accumulators involving the big clubs. So get yourself involved, fantasy tote. We are actually going to set up a United Stand league as well, probably after the international break, but for this first one, we're going to be playing on the 5-a-side Manchester United versus Leicester. But get on there, have a go. You can play for as little as 2 quid, so, you know, good little game. Hida says that Lamar has got a very good crossing ability, and fantasy totes are in the actual video description on the live comments. If you've got any questions for them, chuck them into there. Nice of them to come on as well. Score predictions, please, says Ken Monologue. So, score predictions. We've got the games today. Remember today, what I want to say to everybody is remember today, we've got the watch along at 4:30 all the way through till full time. Then as usual, I'll do my 10-minute match reaction after the watch along. And then at 8 o'clock tonight, well, it's not the first time, we've done it after every Manchester United game this season, but it's the first time where we're going to be really close after full time, because full time will be around 7:30. And then 8 o'clock tonight, Skype Goldbridge, you're Skyping in within half an hour of the full time whistle, giving us your thoughts on the game. Really looking forward to that. It worked really well last week against Swansea, but obviously there was that gap from about 2:30 it finished till 8 o'clock. This is going to be raw straight after the game. So really looking forward to that. Loads of content for you on the United Stand today. Riaz E has made a contribution. He says, "Hi Mark, if I had the chance to interview Jose Mourinho but could only ask one question, what would it be?" I think he's asking if it was me. Well, everyone else give us your thoughts on that just while I'm loading something else up. What one question would you ask Jose Mourinho if you could? I know what mine is. I'll tell you in a minute. But let me just have a look at Premier League fixtures for you. So, Bournemouth, Man City. I'm going to go 3-1 Man City. Crystal Palace, Swansea. Going to go 2-0 Palace. Huddersfield, Southampton. 1-2 to Southampton. Newcastle, West Ham. 2-2 draw. Watford versus Brighton. 1-1 draw. Manchester United versus Leicester. I think I did go 3-1. So I'll probably stick with that, to be honest. Although I think we could end up winning it 4-0, if I'm totally honest. Chelsea Everton tomorrow. I've got a Philly feeling that Chelsea might win that 2-0. West Brom Stoke 1-1. Liverpool Arsenal, definitely. I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool. As I said last night, it's just so nailed on that Liverpool will beat Arsenal. It's the easiest result to predict this weekend. Tottenham Burnley. I'm going to go 4-0 to Spurs. I think they will batter them. They will batter them. One question I would ask Jose Mourinho, if I could ask him one question: why? What's your obsession with Fellaini? I don't get it. And then when he gave me his answer, I'd tell him why he's wrong. It's the one thing I think Mourinho is totally wrong about in his time at Manchester United. And I love Mourinho. He's the best man for Manchester United. Wouldn't swap him. Back him to the ends of the earth. I'm never going to turn against Mourinho. I'm never going to want him to be sacked. I'll always believe in him. But the one thing I will never ever accept is his obsession with Fellaini. And I'd tell it to his face. I'd say, there's nothing you can say that I won't come back with and tell you you're wrong about. So, unless it's the last 10 minutes and we're losing 1-0 and you want to play long ball, anything else, playing him in the midfield, starting him in games, wrong. But that's the one thing I would say. But that's probably my personality. You know, I'll always go for the difficult question. Anthony Corley says, I'd ask Jose why he still lives in the hotel. Good point. Why does he do that? Where's the commitment? I'm only joking. If it works for him, it works for him, and it's definitely working for United at the moment, so we can't moan too much. Martial Rashford, says David Nakar. I think it will be Rashford. I'm not opposed to that, even though I prefer Martial. Martial's probably my favourite player at Manchester United with Rashford. So I'm comfortable whoever plays. But I'm a firm believer that you don't play all your cards at once, and Martial will scare Leicester being on the bench, and let's use him for half an hour. Good evening from India. It's still the morning here, Marali, but good evening. Joe C lives in a hotel, says Pogba FC. Yep, he lives in the Lowry. He's been there since he came over a year ago. John Jones says you're hateful to Fellaini. I don't even know why I read that comment. You know what I think about people when people start saying, oh, you hate him, just because I've got an opinion on something that's not status quo positive. Look, football's all about opinion. I don't like Fellaini at Manchester United. I've been consistent about it for 3 years. I would sell him tomorrow for a bag of crisps and a packet of toffos. I would. I can't move away from it. But do I hate the bloke? If I saw him in the street, would I start going, boo, boo? One, I'd look a complete idiot. Two, I'd probably just say, all right, Maron, and carry on. Don't want your autograph. Don't get your pen out, but have a nice day. I'd leave it at that. I've got nothing against him. I don't dislike him as a person. As a footballer, it just doesn't do it for me. Unless it's the last 10 to 20 minutes of a game and you're going to chuck him in the opposition's box, I ain't got a problem with that. But it's a bit like Lingard last season. He was doing my head in. This season is the best season Lingard's ever had in a Manchester United shirt for me, because he's not been playing. He's a squad player, and that's where he should be, and I'm more than happy with that. I loved it when he came on the pitch at the end of the game when he'd not played 1 minute and he started doing his funny handshakes, getting the morale up. Brilliant. We want that good morale. Brilliant. I'm happy about that. He's a squad player. Use him in the League Cup. Use him in the last few minutes when we're winning 4-0. I ain't fussed by that. Start him in games, and I look at the bigger squad and I think, why is he starting? But it's all about opinion. Just in relation, we've got a comment here from Fantasy Tote, which I hadn't explained, which I wasn't aware about, to be fair. So when we were going through the Fantasy Tote, which is basically the betting fantasy Premier League game that you can play with us now, there's been a rollover from the Star Player Award from last year. It'd probably be easier if I just show you this. Last year, get your words out, Goldbridge. So there's been a rollover from last week, effectively. So nobody picked Alonso from Chelsea to be the star player from last week. So the pot from last week rolls over to this week. So if you pick the star player this week, maybe, you know, who would be the star player? The person who scores the most points, effectively. So if you think that Jordan Henderson's going to score a hat-trick against Arsenal tomorrow and then he wins it, then you will win the pot from last week and the pot from this week. So there's a rollover with the star player. Very hard to pick the star player. I would suggest that if you're going to play that, you maybe spread it across a bit. If you've got a fiver, maybe have a couple of £2 bets on a couple of players. My prediction: star player this week. I would be looking at a Spurs player, looking at those fixtures. I think Spurs will get a few goals against Burnley, potentially a Liverpool player, certainly a United player. But for me, I'd be looking at a United player or a Spurs player, and that for me would be Harry Kane or Lukaku. So roll over in the star player one. Remember, we're playing the five-a-side one on the Leicester versus Manchester United game, Manchester United versus Leicester game. So that's the pot to enter for that. See if you can beat us. I've already disclosed what my team will be, which I might have to slightly change just to give myself a competitive chance. But yeah, rollover week in the star player one. Really enjoy it. I think it's going to be a really good game for us to get involved with during the season. And if you like Fantasy Premier League and you like a little dabble on the football, really, really good, really positive. Looking forward to playing that. Fat Kyle says he's going through a divorce. Let's not be waitist. And Mark, do you think we're going to sign someone, or do you think it's wishful thinking? Anthony Corley, that's a fantastic question. I still believe we will sign somebody. There you go. I still believe we're going to sign somebody, and I really do believe that Mourinho will get this game out of the way and then focus on it. It's got to be about Leicester today. Of course it is. Get 3 points today. Evaluate what's going on in the Premier League, and I would look. Don't have any regrets about this season. We've had a really good start, but we had a really good start last year. If we beat Leicester, well, when we beat Leicester today, we'll have 9 points. We had 9 points this time last year, and we still finished 6th. Evaluate the situation. identify the areas of improvement and do it. And for anybody who says we're fine how we are, let me just put it as simple as this in my mind. We are okay how we are. We're doing fantastically well how we are, but we don't have somebody who can put a good cross into the box from the wing. If you add that option that we don't have at the moment, that could add another 20 goals to our season. Somebody who can cross the ball into the box. That could add another 10 points to our season. Are we going to risk that because we're okay with how we are and we can't get Perisic? No. Go and get a winger who can put the cross into the box. We're not looking for Bale, we're not looking for Griezmann, we're not looking for another Pogba, we're not looking for another goal scorer. We want a winger who can put a cross into the box. That's where it begins and ends. Somebody who can naturally put a cross into the box. I wouldn't be opposed to us getting Felipe Anderson from Lazio. He can put a cross into the box. Just go and get somebody who can do it, and let's not be left in that uncertain area where, well, we did want to get one, but we couldn't get the one we wanted, so we'll make do with what we've got. That is the sort of mentality of a mid-table club, not a mentality of a club that can afford it and is also wanting to win the Premier League. And also it makes us much more of a threat in the Champions League as well. You know, I don't believe the Champions League is obtainable for us this year, but you get a winger in, who knows? So for me, I don't know what all you lot think, but for me, definitely go and do it. Go and get it done. Thanks everyone for watching. Saturday starts here. I must just say from Fantasy Totes, unlike Fantasy Premier League where you've got to get your team picked by 11:30, you can keep doing your teams on Fantasy Totes. If you are, you know, if you were doing the Manchester City versus Bournemouth game, you can do that right up until a minute before. Obviously, our game, Manchester United Leicester's not till 5:30. So click the link in the video description, get on there and get yourself involved. We're doing the Leicester game, 5-a-side. Who can score the most points on that? Get yourself entered on that. If you fancy the star player one, roll over there. I think I'm going to have a little dabble. I think I'm going to go Lukaku, which means everyone else will do now. But really good site. Have a look at it. Get involved. I think we'll have a lot of fun with that. Really positive about Manchester United today. Back tonight at 4:30, or this afternoon at 4:30 with the team news right the way through till full time. And then remember, 8 o'clock tonight, only half an hour after the end of the game, we are live with Skype Goldbridge, or you lot, unscripted, calling in and give us your thoughts on what I believe will be a battering of Leicester. But will it just be talking about beating Leicester? Will you have concerns about the game, your man of the match, whether we should now go and sign somebody? Really looking forward to that as well. I'm buzzing already. Thanks everyone who's joined me for this show. Remember to get yourself involved on Fantasy Tote if you fancy to go on that. Remember to join us at 4:30. Enjoy whatever football or stuff you're going to do until then, and join us for the watch along at 4:30. Thanks everyone for watching. Remember to drop a like and keep getting involved with the United Stand. Thanks everyone for watching. Really enjoyed it.